the Scamily, and prosecutors say those 14 men were part of a crime ring that robbed mail carriers and laundered money.
Bill Miston explains how the tactics used by prosecutors were originally created to take down the mob.
Ted and Mary, 9 men are charged with racketeering, and the so-called Don of the Scamily is charged with continuing a criminal enterprise. Now, those charges come from a 4 decades old law, originally designed to help take down organized crime at the state level. It's the fall of 1981.
Frank Balistreri, the reputed godfather of the Milwaukee Mafia, is
Charged with extortion, gambling, and tax law violations. The case against the head of the Milwaukee crime family came at a time when state lawmakers were debating their own law to take on organized crime at the state level. The Wisconsin Organized Crime Control Act, or WOCA, was passed and signed into law the following year. But since
it is a rarely used statute, in all honesty.
On Wednesday, Milwaukee County prosecutors charged 14 men, part of the so-called Scamily, even with their own merchandise.
A lot of the allegations are supported by evidence that was recovered as a result of warrants that were done for people's social media accounts.
Prosecutors say the men robbed mail carriers, stole mail keys and mail, washed checks, and laundered the money. 9 of the 14 are charged with racketeering under that little-used statute.
It's certainly rare, but it's certainly appropriate.
Prosecutors say the crimes were interconnected and organized. Court filings say at the top of the Scamily, the Don, Haraya Abu, who's also charged with continuing a criminal enterprise. Attorney Julius Kim says RICO cases are difficult to prosecute and take a lot of time. But one thing's changed since the law's creation decades ago.
The evidence gathering has gotten easier.
And because of social media and text messages,
the paper trail is laid out there in black and white between certain elements on the street and their bosses, which make these prosecutions a little bit easier.
Now, it's important to note that if prosecutors were to bring charges under the WOCA Act, the state DOJ has to sign off on the case before those charges are filed. Now, 5 of those 14 men are also facing federal charges relating to the robbery of postal workers. Court records show one of the men, Abdi, has entered into a plea agreement with the feds in his case. The 14 men have yet to make their first appearances in this Milwaukee County case just yet.